Biology. Today I will be dealing with sexual reproduction in plants. Before that, I'm going to be running through how to access the revision notes and test in clay6.com. Go to clay6.com and click on practice. You will be seeing a lot of packages here. So since it's a NEET class, I'll be selecting the NEET Premium package. And here you will be finding chapter-wise tests in physics, chemistry, biology, and also NEET full-term tests. Since we have started with grade 12 biology, you will be seeing, let us click on that. Here you will present a test. Now, if you see a green bubble, it means that the test has been completed. You can always it again if you want to improve your scores or if you want to do a revision. A blue bubble indicates that you have not taken the test, and a red bubble, see, when depending upon the different chapters here, as the complexity of the chapters increase, as the complexity of the chapters increase and depending upon its importance in NEET, tests vary for each chapter. And if you have completed all the chapters, there is one red bubble which is a randomized test. And if you click on the randomized test, you will be able, questions from all the previous tests what you have done will be popping up for you to answer. So this will help you to understand whether you are able to recollect the concepts. And if you have not, if you have left any test incomplete, it will be shown by an yellow bubble. So this yellow bubble indicates that you might have started the test, and after one or two questions you would have realized you're not ready with the concepts, so you may want to quit the test. And when you do that, it's an indicator to come and complete. After learning the concept, you can definitely get back to complete the same. Now I hope you have got to know how to navigate to the website. In today's class, I will be revising key concepts, do a practice test based on the concepts learned, and the last 5 minutes I will answer your queries. Now, before we begin with the classes, I'm sure you will be worried about papers are there. If we have realized that there are three kinds of questions. The first is NCERT based questions. Around 68 to 70 questions are straight from NCERT. If you have thoroughly learned the textbook, it will be easy for you to answer them. And 8 to 10 questions are from past NEET papers. These questions come straight as it was in the earlier paper or with a few modifications. And last 8 to 10 questions are going to be newer questions, and these questions become the game changer because you cannot answer these questions just by mugging up the concepts. You need to understand the concept, and you should also know how to apply the concept. So keeping in mind all the kinds of questions that can feature in NEET, we tutors have created the test in this website to help you to score very high marks. So I would suggest it would be an additional asset for you for your preparations by going in for the test. And now if you look at this feature here or the revision notes, if it will open into a PDF file, and this PDF file has got around 135 pages. And if you look at the PDF file, you will realize it that there are summarized very clearly from your 11th and 12th portions, and it will be easy for you for a quick revision. So today let us get into sexual reproduction in plants. So it is a bisexual flower. Flower is a modified shoot that aids in sexual reproduction in plants. A typical bisexual flower has got four roles, namely calyx, corolla, androecium, and gynoecium. Calyx and corolla are called the non-essential wholes as they do not take part in reproduction, while androecium and gynoecium are considered to be essential wholes as they produce the gametes. Androecium is the male part of the flower represented by the stamen. Each stamen is made up of, so this is next slide we will look in. So this is the stamen, and each stamen is made up of a slender filament which supports the anther. Anther produces the pollen grains. Now, if you look at the gynoecium is the female part, and it is represented by the pistil. Pistil consists of a basal swollen portion called the ovary, from which slender style arises. At the tip of the style is the stigma. Now let us look into pre-fertilization events and what are the structure and the events that happen during pre-fertilization. So let us look at microsporangium and all those stuff. Before the hormonal and structural changes occur in a flower that leads to differentiation and further development of the floral primordium. Inflorescences are formed which bear the floral buds and then the flower. Stamen, if you look at this as a stamen, the two parts of a typical stamen, as I said, are filament and an anther, and it is bilobed. Each lobe will be having two theca and hence it is called dithecous. A longitudinal groove will separate the two theca. Anther is a tetragonal structure which has got four microsporangia located at the two corners, two in each lobe. The development of microsporangia leads to the formation of pollen sacs. They extend longitudinally all through the length of an anther and are packed with pollen grains. Now let us look at the structure of a microsporangium. A typical microsporangium appears nearly circular in the outline in its transverse section. It is made up of four layers: epidermis, endothecium, middle layer, and tapetum. Epidermis, endothecium, and middle layers are protective in function and they help in dehiscence the anther. The innermost layer is the tapetum, which nourishes the developing pollen grain. Cells of the tapetum possess dense cytoplasm and generally have more than one nucleus. Tapetal cells can also become binucleate or multinucleate by undergoing endomitosis. In endomitosis, nucleus divides within the nuclear membrane, but cytokinesis does not occur. When the anther is young, a group of compactly arranged homogeneous cells called the sporogenous tissue occupies the center of each microsporangium. Microsporogenesis. Microtetrads causes the formation of microspores from a pollen mother cell through meiosporogenesis. Microspores are arranged as clusters of cells. The microspore tetra mature and dehydrate. Microspores will separate from one another and then they will develop into pollen grains. There are several thousands of microspores or pollen grains that get released on dehiscence of anther. The pollen grain represents the male gametophyte. Generally, pollen grains are spherical in shape, measuring 20 to 25 microns in diameter. It has a prominent two-layered wall. The outer enzyme made up of sporopollenin and inner intine made up of cellulose and pectin. Sporopollenin is the most resistant organic material known. It can withstand high temperature. Pollen grains are well pollen. Cytopollen, when the pollen is mature, it contains two cells. The vegetative and dendritic cell. Vegetative cell is bigger irregular resin. The generative is small and floats in the cytoplasm of the vegetative cell. It is shaped like a spindle and has a nucleus. In 60% of plants, the pollen grains are shed in two-celled stage, while in 40% it is shed at three-celled stage. In a three-celled stage, the generative cell divides mitotically to give rise to two male gametes. When once shed, pollen grains have to land on the stigma before they lose their viability. The viability period is highly variable and to some extent depends on the prevailing temperatures and humidity. In cereals like rice and wheat, pollen grains lose viability in 30 minutes after their release, and in some plants like they can be stored, that is belonging to families like Rosaceae, then Leguminosae and Solanaceae. These remain viable for months. Now, what are the uses of pollen grains? Pollen grains are rich in nutrients and hence are used as food supplements in the form of tablets and syrups. Pollen consumption increases the performance of athletes and the race horses. The harmful effect is many of us are sensitive to the pollen grains and they cause allergies, which can result in asthma, bronchitis, like the pollen grains of Parthenium. Now let us look at the pistil, megasporangium, and the embryo sac. The gynoecium represents the female reproductive part of the flower. Gynoecium may contain a single carpel being monocarpellary or maybe multicarpellary with many carpels. The pistils are fused in syncarpous condition while they remain free in the apocarpous condition. As mentioned earlier, each pistil has got three parts, namely stigma, style, and ovary. So you can see the stigma here, style, and the ovary. The stigma serves as a landing platform for pollen grains. The style is an elongated, slender part beneath the stigma. The basal bulge portion is the ovary. Now, within the ovary, there is a cavity called placenta is located ovarian cavity arising from the placenta are the megasporangium commonly called the ovules. The number of ovules may be one as in wheat, paddy or mango, or it can be many like in papaya, melon or orchids in an ovary. Now let us look at embryos megasporangium. An angiospermic ovule is a small structure attached to the placenta by a stalk called the tuniccle. The point of fusion between the body of the ovule and the funicle is the region which is called hilum. Hilum is the junction between the ovule and the funicle. The protective envelope surrounding the ovules are called integuments. Integuments encircle the ovule except at the micropyle, all opening at the tip. The end opposite to the micropylar end is the cella that forms the basal part of the ovule. Mass of cells called nucellus are enclosed within the integuments. Nucellus cells have abundant food reserves. Embryo sac is now located within the nucellus and it forms the female gametophyte. Now, megasporogenesis, the process of formation of megaspores. In the microalveolar region gets differentiated. It is a large containing dense cytoplasm and a prominent nucleus. Megaspore mother cell undergoes meiotic divisions, resulting in the formation of four megaspores. Now let us look at the female gametophyte. In majority of the flowering plants, one megaspore is functional while the other three degenerate. Only the functional megaspore will develop into a female gametophyte, and this is what we call it as the embryo sac. This method of embryo sac formation from a single megaspore is termed as monosporic development. The nucleus of the functional megaspore will divide mitotically to form two nuclei, which moves to the opposite poles, forming two nucleate embryo sac. Now, this is followed by two mitotic divisions, as a result of which eight nucleate stage of the embryo sac is seen. These mitotic divisions are strictly free nuclear, that is, nuclear divisions are not followed by cell wall formation. After 8 nucleate stage, cell walls are laid, leading to the organization of the embryo sac. Of the 8 cells, 6 cells are surrounded by cell walls and organized into cells. The remaining 2 nuclei called come together to form the polar nuclei. Polar nuclei is situated below the egg apparatus in the large central cell. The cell distribution within the embryo sac, if you look at it, two cells here will form the synergid, central cell will form the egg cell, and here you find the polar nucleus or the secondary nucleus with the forming the central cell, cell end forming the antipodals. The egg apparatus hence at maturity. A typical angiospermic embryo sac is 8 nucleate and 7 cell. That you should remember. Synergids have special cellular thickenings at the micropylar tip called the filiform apparatus, which plays an important role in guiding of the pollen tubes into the synergids. Now, kinds of pollination. Now we have seen this is about the formation of the gametes and all the structures. Now let us look into the kind of pollination. So pollination is transfer of pollen grains from from the flower of the from the stamen to the stigma of the same flower, it is called as pollination. If it is another flower, then it is called cross pollination. Now let us look at the self pollination. It is sure and advantageous is economical method of pollination, and there is no failure when the pollen grain of the same flower comes and falls on the stigma of the same flower. There is no failure. It is going to germinate, and then it can result of the zygote. It produces homozygous progeny. It is used to maintain the pure lines, maintain superiority of the race indefinitely. And here, because it is a fail-proof system, then there is no need for the plants to produce more pollen. And flowers also do not require any pollinating agents to bring about the pollination. The next thing is, what are the disadvantages? Again, it is similar to reproduction, like we say, no, there is no introduction of new traits. It decreases the variability and adaptability. Disease resistance will increase over the period of time. Recessive traits will appear regularly as self pollination induces homozygosity. There is no way to eliminate the defective traits. Yields decreases with time due to reduction in vigor and vitality. Now let us look into cross pollination. So cross pollination means wherein the pollen of a flower falls on the stigma of a different flower on a different plant or with the same plant. If it is within a same plant, we call it as geitonogamy. If it is on a different plant of the same species, we call it as xenogamy. So what are the advantages? It overcomes cell sterility and prepotency found in many economically important plants. Yield always remains above an average minimum. It eliminates the defective traits. Harmful recessive traits remain unexpressed due to heterozygosity. Introduces number of alleles. It produces better offsprings due to hybrid vigor or heterosis. It increases the resistance to diseases, enhances adaptability of the offsprings to change in the environment. And here the offsprings formed after cross pollination are better suited to survive in a particular environment. That is, it is leading to survival of the fittest. So disadvantage means it is a wasteful process because it requires a lot of contrivances, and it is always a chance factor, not at all economical for the plants. Good characters of the race can get eliminated or diluted. Undesirable characters can enter the progeny. So, but there are plants which will show both self-pollination and cross-pollination. Now let us look into pollen-pistil interaction. Now you have understood how through microsporogenesis a pollen grain is formed and how an embryo sac is formed due to megasporogenesis. Now let us look in what happens when a pollen comes and lands on the stigma. So pollination does not ensure that the right kind of pollen would land on the stigma. Often pollen of the wrong type can also land on the stigma. This has the ability to recognize whether the right type of pollen has landed. Post-pollination events are promoted only when compatible pollen has reached the stigma. The ability of the pistil to recognize the pollen is due to chemical components of the pollen interacting with the pistil. It is only recently botanists have identified some of the pollen and pistil components and the interactions leading to recognition. Following compatible pollination, pollen tubes germinate on the stigma and they will produce a pollen tube. So this is what you see, a germination of a pollen tube through one of the germ pores. The content of the pollen grain moves into the pollen tube. Pollen tube grows through the tissues of the style and stigma and reaches the ovary. In the plants which shed pollen at two-cell stage, generative cell divides and forms the two male gametes during the growth of the pollen tube in the stigma. In plants that shed pollen in three-celled stage, the tube carries the gametes from the beginning. Pollen tube, after reaching the ovary, enters the ovule through the micropyle and then enters one of the synergids through the filiform apparatus. These events from the pollen deposition on the stigma until the entry of the pollen tube into the ovule is collectively called pollen pistil interaction. Now, once it has happened, what is the next step? After entering one of the synergids, the pollen tube releases two male gametes into the cytoplasm of the synergid. One of the male gametes will fuse with the egg cell, completing the syngamy. This results in the formation of a zygote. The other male gamete moves towards the polar nuclei located in the central cell and fuses with them to produce a triploid primary endosperm nucleus, which is also called PEN. As this fusion of three haploid nuclei, it's called triple fusion. Since two types of fusion occur, syngamy and triple fusion in the embryo sac, this kind of fertilization is also called double fertilization, and this was first discovered by Navaschan. Now, the central cell after triple fusion becomes the primary endosperm cell and develops into endosperm, while zygote will develop into the embryo. Now, this is the structure of the embryo. You look at the embryo in both monocots and dicots. That is a post-fertilization. After fertilization, events of endosperm and embryo development, maturation of ovules into seeds and ovary into fruit are collectively called post-fertilization events. The primary endosperm will repeatedly divide and form the triploid endosperm tissue. The cells of this tissue are filled with reserve food materials and are used for the nutrition of the embryo. Generally, PEN undergoes successive nuclear divisions to give rise to free nuclei. This stage of endosperm development is called free nuclear endosperm. Later, cell wall formation occurs, making the endosperm cellular. Endosperm may be completely used by the developing embryo before seed maturation, as in pea groundnut, or can be used during germination, as in castor and groundnut. Now, embryo develops at the micropylar end of the embryo sac, where the zygote is situated. Most zygote divides only after certain amount of endosperm is found. This way, it ensures that nutrition is provided to the developing embryo. Though there are great differences in monocot and dicot seeds, the early stages of embryo development are similar in both monocots and dicots. Zygotes will give rise to pro-embryo and subsequently to globular, heart-shaped and mature embryo. A dicotyledonous embryo consists of an embryonal axis and two cotyledons. The portion of the embryonal axis above the level of the cotyledon is called as the epicotyle, which terminates with the plumule. The cylindrical portion below the level of the cotyledon is called as the hypocotyle. This will terminate into the radicle or the root tip. The root cap covers the root tip. Embryos of monocots have only one cotyledon. In the Poaceae family, cotyledon is called scutellum. Scutellum is situated towards the lateral side of the embryonal axis. At the lower end, the embryonal axis has radicle and root cap enclosed in an undifferentiated sheath called the coleorhiza. The portion of the embryonal axis above the level of the scutellum is called the epicotyle. Epicotyle now has got the shoot apex and a few leaf primordia enclosed in a coleoptile. Now the last part is the seed. Seed is the final product of sexual reproduction. It often is described as fertilized ovule. Seeds are formed inside the fruits. A seed typically consists of seed coats, cotyledon, and embryonal axis. Cotyledons of the embryo are simple structures, generally thick and swollen due to food reserves. Mature seeds may be albuminous or non-albuminous. Non-albuminous seeds have no residual endosperm as it is completely consumed during embryo development, as seen in pea and groundnut. Albuminous seeds retain a part of the endosperm and it is not completely used up during embryo development, as in maize, barley, castor, etc. Occasionally, nucellus can also have the remnants of nucellus can be seen, and this is called as the persistent nucellus, and persistent nucellus is called the perisperm. Integuments of the ovules harden as tough protective seed coats. Micropyle remains as a small pore in the seed coat. This facilitates the entry of oxygen and water into the seed during germination. As water dries up, seeds become relatively dry. General metabolic activity of the embryo slows down. Embryo may enter a state of dormancy due to unfavorable conditions, or it may germinate. Ovary develops into a fruit and ovules into the seeds. The wall of the ovary becomes the fruit wall and it is called a pericarp. Depending upon the nature of fruits, fruits can be fleshy fruits or the dry fruits, which we have already dealt in the morphology of the flowering plants. Now, with this, we have completed all the important concepts. Now let us look into the test. So sexual reproduction in plants. Let us take a test. So there are few species in which fruits develop without fertilization. Yes, fruits developing without fertilization are called parthenocarpic fruits. Yes, parthenocarpy can be induced through application of growth hormones. Yes, parthenocarpic fruits are usually seeded. So only fourth is incorrect. 1, 2, and 3 are correct. Now let us look here. Cleistogamy, it is a closed flower. So what happens? The stigma of the same flower, it is going to be two, genetically same. So it is A2 and 1 we have already selected. Geitonogamy is stigma of another flower of the same plant. So it is going to be 3. Then it is genetically same 1. So xenogamy is stigma of another different plant, genetically different. So choice A is the correct answer. Apomixis is production of seeds without fertilization. Identify the wrongly paired ones. It is grass polyembryony. Grasses reproduce through stolon and rhizomes. Removal of anthers from the flower bud before the anthers dehisce using a pair of forceps is emasculation. True. Emasculated flowers are covered with a bag of suitable size, generally made up of butter paper, and the process is called bagging. Both are correct. Choose the appropriate option and fill in the blanks. A typical angiosperm embryo sac at maturity is 8 nucleate and 7 celled. Choose the odd one out on the basis of number of ovules. So it is paddy because it is 1. The others are all multicarpellary. Now in the figure, identify the parts shown here. So what is A? A is going to be this is the thalamus, B is the seed, C is the endocarp, C is the endocarp, D is the mesocarp, and the whole thing is a false fruit. It is a pome. So what is the answer? It is thalamus, seed, endocarp, meso is thalamus, seed, endocarp, mesocarp, and false fruit. Okay. Gynoecium consists of a single pistil that is monocarpellary or may have more than one pistil that is multicarpellary. Where there are more than one pistils may be fused that is syncarpous or may be free it is apocarpous. Identify A and B. So what is A? A is going to be the stigma. This is the stigma and B is the syncarpous ovary. So multicarpellary, syncarpous, apocarpous, A stigma, B is syncarpous ovary. Filiform apparatus is a characteristic feature of the synergids. Eyes of potato tubers are axillary buds. What would be the number of chromosomes of the alluron cells of plants with 42 chromosomes in its root tip cells? Alluron cells are triploid in nature. So if it is in the root tip cell, it is a diploid number is 42. So a haploid number is going to be 21. Triploid means 21 into 3, that is going to be 63 cells. Wind pollination is common in grasses. Nucellar polyembryony is repeated in the species of citrus. Which one of the following pollination is autogamous? Cleistogamy. So I'm completing the test. Let us end the test. So all the answers are correct. If any answer is incorrect, you will see a red eye. And if you click on that, your answer will be displayed along with the correct answer. If you scroll down, you can see the explanation and analyze your mistake. If you are not answered, it will come in an yellow tile. And again, you click it, you will get to know the answer with explanation. Since it is going in for a negative correction, if you are not sure of the answers, please don't take it. Even if it is, if you do not know, it's okay, you can leave it. But if you go in for an incorrect answer, you're going to lose -1 from your total. It is not from the grand total, it is from your total. So with this, we come to today's class. Now you please note that the NEET package, if you look at it, has got 38 full tests, wherein 15 tests are teacher prepared and 20 plus past NEET papers, all are solved with solutions. You can also get additional help by using our Ask feature on our site, and we also support chat group using Telegram. You can also book slots for one-to-one teaching with the tutors for any subject or for any chapter. And for any inquiries, mail your query to info@clay6.com. Meet you all tomorrow. Thank you.